A legacy of winning isn't just about winning the game.
It's getting the win with integrity.
It's caring for the person standing next to you. It's about embracing a winning mindset in every aspect of your life.
When you're injured, hire a team with a winning mindset. In a jam, call Sam.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good evening, Shicola. Good evening, son-in-law. I'm Jack, and you're watching a special edition of the Let's Talk show here on UrbanCast tonight. Topic is a painful but necessary one. Just on Sunday, Keely Brand, a young mother of 4, small children ages 5, 3, 2, and 1, was gunned down in broad daylight. In the Alexandria Housing Authority's complex called Royal Ridge. This tragic loss has shaken the community and reignited conversations about violence, leadership, accountability, and the safety of our most vulnerable residents. Alexandria is our home. Whether you're rich or you're poor, black or white, male, female, we all deserve to live in a city where our safety, dignity, and our futures matter to everyone. And we want tonight to be a step toward unity, not more division. And if you've been waiting on a sign to get involved, I think this is it. Joining me tonight is Shicola Jones, an outspoken young lady, and a concerned citizen who has never shied away from speaking truth to power. Shicola, thank you for being here tonight with us and our viewers. This conversation needs your voice. To our listeners and supporters out there, drop your questions in the comments, or just your comments. Share this broadcast, share it just like you share when we're out there in the field, and help us push the kind of change our community deserves forward. Good evening, Shicola.
Good evening, Mr. Jack. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Shicola, as I stated in the opening, you've been very outspoken on various issues here in the city of Alexandria, be it from here recently. I saw you at the Rapides Parish Police Jury, speaking out about the ambulance service. I've seen you speak out about utilities and various things here from time to time. And now you've been really vocal over the last couple of days. So I just really want to just jump right on in there and get started. Let me ask you this, Shicola. When you heard about the killing of Keely Brand and the countless other shootings that have occurred in the Sycamore area, what was your first reaction, not just as a citizen, but as a woman, a mother, and being a voice of the community? What was going through your mind?
So when we first received the call that another shooting had happened in that area, and we were going over there because we did hear that a young lady had been shot. And before I answer that, I want to say this too. I want to start this off by saying this. Keely has an amazing family and amazing sisters, grandmothers, mom, people who have come to, and the first thing that her sister said is to make this about everybody. Make this for everybody, not just Keely. Make it for everybody that's lost their life over there, for everybody that something bad has happened to, in that area, make it for everybody. Don't just make it for Keely because it's ending with Keely, but it started before Keely. Such amazing people, and her grandmother is an amazing person. And back to your question, when we heard that somebody had been shot and it was another female, and we drove over there or whatever, it's when I first heard it, I was sad. But when I got there, I was all type of emotions. I was sad, I was angry, I was upset, because not only is this another young African American woman that is dead, this is a mother of 4 that is dead. Not only is this mother of 4 dead, but this mother of 4 is laying on the ground, and right over there, they're having an Easter egg hunt. They are normalizing violence right in front of our kids, teaching our kids that this type of thing that happens when someone comes and spray your neighborhood is normal. So just carry on with your day. So I was hurt by what I had seen. You know, it was very hurtful. And most of all, I was hurt for the family. I mean, we get tired of these type of things happening in our neighborhood, but it's hopefully we can end it with Keely, because it didn't start with Keely. There has been many more incidents in this same area over and over and over again, and they have been ignored time and time again. See, what we have here is that we have a bunch of officials just standing there in the mirror watching their reflection, and they don't care about what's going on. That's
We're talking about a young mother of 4. What kind of, as you're thinking about this, Shicola, what kind of long-term generational trauma does violence like this leave behind, especially when there are children, there are mothers, there are fathers, there are, other relatives that have to go.
So this is a traumatic experience. And what I'm going to say about this is that, for one, she has kids. And when I talk about generational trauma, we're talking about generational trauma. When you shoot or kill someone and they have kids, thank God that this young lady has an amazing family. But when you do this and these kids have to grow older, we have to pray that they too don't become a statistic or become a product of their environment, that they have someone to love and nurture them the right way and teach them the right things. And that's for everything that has happened out there, because it has other people who have had things have happened and they have had kids or brothers or cousins. You have to pray these people don't want revenge, that God don't give them a revengeful heart, that they have guidance and someone around them to tell them that this is not the way we should live, and the way that we are living is not okay. This type of hatred is not okay, because to go and spray someone or shoot a gun 30-something times and 50-something times, that is hatred. That is hatred. That is nothing about that is love. That is hatred. When you go in broad daylight and you spray an environment where there's 50 kids out there doing an Easter egg hunt, that is hatred, because you don't care about the people that is around you. That is hatred. When you kill someone, it is hatred. It doesn't matter how we try to look at it. That is, when you get a gun and you go spray up an environment that has multiple kids and single mothers and elderly people out there, and you just don't care, that's a form of hatred. And those things leave generational, what we would call curses and generational consequences, because it puts families into it. Now, forever, somebody has an enemy because someone else did. Because that's the society we live in today. We live in a get back society.
Alexandria continues to see, and you kind of touched up on it in that answer, but I want to drill down into it a little bit more. Alexandria continues to see a repeat violence in and around the same areas, and specifically this one. Someone just a few minutes ago before we went live sent me a slide with the Michael Jackson music playing in the background. and what have you. And I just had to sit back and think. I wish I could have had time to just pull it in and play it at the beginning, but I'm going to post a link to it in the conversation after. But you saw, I didn't even, I knew that it was a lot out there, but it's a lot more that wasn't there. In your view, why does it feel like nothing is changing, Shicola?
I'm gonna tell you why nothing is changing, and I'm gonna tell you from their part and from our part. And I'm gonna start with our part. Our part is we don't want to hold whoever, our neighbor, friend, community, and people responsible. We are just to blame as the authorities. And why are that? Because we will not speak up. We will not take a stand. We won't get together and protest for what is right. And we won't get together and to lock someone up. Even though we know that this person will go on to kill multiple people, we will allow this person to be free, because we live in a neighborhood where snitching is not cool. So that it doesn't make us cool. And we can't do that. We have become a statistic. We have become part of our environment and a culture that's not helping us. And in the end, it's hurting us. So as long as we keep this mindset that we're going to be a part of that culture, we're going to continue to bury our loved ones, and other people around us are going to continue to bury their loved ones, because we're making ourselves a product of an environment. And instead of making the environment better, we're creating the problem in the environment. We know that our son is 17 and he got no business with a gun on him, but we allow our children to walk around like that, and we say nothing and we do nothing about it. We are the problem in our community from that aspect. Now, when it comes to leadership, they need to be held accountable. And why I say this is because they know they can put measurements in place. A gate should have been around that community when the first killing started this year. Oh, okay. A gate with security should have been around that community. Housing is supposed to clock who comes out in and out these people's houses. If you have a visitor that's there for longer in the week, they used to say they have to be put on your lease, but they're not doing that. So we thought when we got new leadership, it would get better with housing, but in fact, it has got worse. And the new leadership has ignored that there is a problem. And I'm not gonna just say this because I'm not trying to put anybody on a spot or whatever. But when you think about Standard Enterprises and Night Development, these are big corporations. And Fontenot and Ms. Cheatham are supposed to be answering and letting these corporations know you're making all these millions from HUD off of this low poverty community. We need you to keep these young mothers and these elderly people safe. We need a gate there because it's going to cost you in the long run. See, if we the people will stick together and do a class action lawsuit, we wouldn't have these problems with people like Night Development or Standard Enterprise. They'll be scared to death if there was a killing out there. If something would have happened, they would be the first people out there with their attorneys trying to figure out a way out of it, because you know what? They know the community that they're in is going to stick together. But when we, the people, won't stick together, they feel like they can get away with this. They feel like they ain't got to put a gate. I walked through there. There were so many black areas and no cameras where they supposed to be. The cameras are not even working half of the time. So they feel like they can get away with these type of things and they don't have to answer to nobody. And then we have to hold other people accountable, and politicians. You know why we got to hold them accountable? Because we have a housing board, and on that housing board that we have for these type of issues, it is appointed by an elected official, which is our mayor. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It is appointed by an elected official, which is our mayor. It is his job to go and get that board and say, hey, I need a resignation for Mr. Fontenot because I got 16 incidents in one area, and I need for you to vote for somebody or put somebody in there who's willing to stand up and put a stop to this. See, but they're not going to do that, because they're not going to do that. That's too much like right to stand up for your people. See, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. What's the problem is they are afraid to have their people back. I'm telling you, when you look at it, that's the problem. We got people who sit up there all day, up there downtown, And this has been going on since they got into office for 4 years. Bodies been dropping like this. And we ain't nobody did nothing about it. Nobody has did anything. This is bigger than having police officers. What's the good of having enough police officers when we can't control the crime? What's the point? This is bigger than having enough police. We can't keep putting this on, oh, APD is the problem. The sheriff department is the problem. No, the problem is bigger than them. The problem is the people who we elect and we put in seats to do things, and they won't do things that we ask them to do. And then if we don't stand up and demand it, then they won't do it. And when we stand up and demand it, they think we're crazy. But I'd rather be crazy with results than to be quiet and nothing be done.
With that said, Shicola, let's point out something that needs to be said. A lot of people really still think that the housing authority out there, the Raw Ridge, aka Cars Park, is actually owned by the housing authority. And about 7 years ago, the housing authority divested of that property and sold it to these 3 different private investors with these various properties around town. Isn't that correct?
Yes. So one of the things that Mayor Jack Roy did before he got out of office, the last thing, and assuming that he thought that he was helping the community, that they sold the housing project. So if you live in those houses, you're getting a project Section 8 type voucher. It's just like being on Section 8. So you're paying this, the HUD is paying housing authority to pay this land law for you and to these private. And those properties that we're talking about are owned by Standard Enterprises, and they're owned by Knights Development.
Okay.
And so they were sold. Housing authority no longer own them, they're managing them. But when you hear these stories, these horrific stories of when you speak of housing authority, of people not having hot water, and HUD is paying for this, a hot water heater has not been replaced, or they haven't had a washing machine in 3 years, they had to go buy their own. They have mold in the building. They have, it's just a lot, it's a lot, no refrigerator, and they giving them, and then no safety. Like, you look at these things, but this is federal money. Federal money. We're talking about, this is bigger than this. This is federal money. When we talk about federal money, we talking about the federal government money. They're receiving federal money, and they have federal guidelines, and they're not applying by federal guidelines.
Well, not Shicola, that's going to be another show when we talk about that particular issue. All right. So we're going to stay focused on, but it's all going together. And I hope nobody don't think I'm cutting you off or anything. We got a limited amount of time, and we want to make sure we get all these other good questions here into you. When you're talking about leadership, do you feel our local leaders, elected or otherwise, is truly responding to the severity? And you kind of answered that earlier. And it could be a yes or no answer. Do you think the response thus far, with everything that's been going on in public housing, do you think our local officials have responded appropriately?
No, they have not. They have not. If they have responded appropriately, we wouldn't be bearing this. Her family wouldn't have to bury her coming up. Okay. If all the things that happened before this wouldn't be going on if they had responded. I was watching one of the Pipers make a comment about they baby getting killed out there or whatever. And then what about the little white boy that caught a bullet out there? Think about it. It's a lot of stories of people dying right there on the same street, same neighborhood, within the same block. And you mean to tell me we the people can see the problem, but everybody's sitting up them? When you're different from somebody else, there's those people over there. So you mean to tell me those people over there can't see it's a problem? This ain't about being black. This ain't about being white. This is about people and God's people and about doing the right thing. Right. And you can't tell me at the end of the day that they know that they're doing the wrong thing. They're not helping. The mayor is over the board. It's simple. He wants to fix the problem. He needs to get rid of the big people in housing. If he want to fix the problem, he needs to get rid of the big people in housing. I'll start with Mr. Fontenot. Okay. I'm sorry. And if I'm not trying to, I will fire him to make an example to everybody in the office. And whoever come out under him, she would have to go to. Because The bottom line is, and if he don't want to do that, then he needs to get rid of the whole housing board, the board that is over them, because people are dying. And when are we going to demand answers for that?
Okay.
But you want to know what the problem is, Mr. J?
What's that, Shicola?
The right person ain't died yet. One of their people ain't died yet over there.
There's a lot of frustration about the imbalance of leadership. Some say decisions are made without those most impacted at the table. What's your take on that? Do you think that the residents of the various housing apartment complexes, do you think they have a voice in?
No, they don't. Okay. Let me tell you something. Just yesterday and this morning, Housing Authority went around telling anybody that if they talk, they will be evicted. That is unethical practices. You went around telling all these people to shut them up, that they will be. So what voice do they have? Now, these are people that are already on a fixed income that probably can't go nowhere else. And they're assuming that if they do talk, they're going to lose their homes. This is the type of monsters that we're dealing, because those are not people, those are monsters. That is monster-like behavior. That's a gang. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You ain't got to hold the gun to be a gang. That is a gang. You ain't got to pull a trigger to be responsible for somebody's death. They guilty. They guilty for a lot of those people deaths over there. And they should all be charged with negligent homicide, if you ask me. I think if we start holding officials accountable the way we hold people accountable, and if we started letting them be tried in court the way we try people in court when something go wrong, we wouldn't be having this problem. They'll all be running to do the right thing.
What would genuine accountability from the city, and since it's the governing body that sponsors the housing authority and the housing leaders, actually look like to you? If everything was working, you got a recommendation for the fix to this particular problem, how would that look to you?
I would say right now, the fix of the problem would not be officials from Alexandria, because if Alexandria leaders wanted to fix it, they could have went in there. They were over the housing board. I think someone bigger, the federal government, who funds this is an attorney general office, an inspector general's office, needs to step in and take over this for a while and take this from the people in Alexandria, because they are not treating the people right. I think the people who pays the money need to come see where their money is going, and that these people pay for a safe environment for these mother and children, and it's no longer safe. So if they come here and you realize that this, I think it needs to be taken away from local officials. I think for a while, someone else that has nothing to do with Alexandria needs to come in and run this and get it back on track.
All right, Shicola, that's a good spot for us to take a quick break. We're going to be gone a minute, guys, and we'll be right back. Thank you guys for joining in. Again, if you guys could do us a favor, share this. Let's make sure our voices are being heard. Got comments, please feel free to push them out there. We'll be right back.
A legacy of winning isn't just about winning the game.
It's getting the win with integrity.
It's caring for the person standing next to you. It's about embracing a winning mindset in every aspect of your life.
When you're injured, hire a team with a winning mindset. In a jam, call Sam.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
We're back. Shicola, I want to follow up on one of the questions that you mentioned it earlier about some of the residents in various complexes or have alleged threats and different things of that nature. We actually also received some messages as well. So even this morning, we put out a quick reminder to folk, if they want to make a complaint, here's how you make that complaint. What were some of the things you heard allegedly was actually happening?
I heard that housing had called people and went into people's homes and told them that if they spoke out about anything or any problems that were going on up in that complex, that they will be evicted and they will lose their home.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what made me, I actually went and got a lease. I found the housing authority lease, and that's some ethical practices. You can't do that. You cannot. If they're speaking out, that's like a slumlord telling someone that they can't say that he's a slumlord when he in fact is. This is a lawsuit. This is bullying. This is political bullying. This is a gang. And I keep saying that because this is what this is. This is the biggest gangs. Most corporations are the biggest gangsters there are in the world. And they feel like they can't get caught.
Wow. The city's statement here in the press release of the young lady, Keely, who was brutally murdered, it said it was going to drastically modify the tactics and review how the authority is resourced.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to say this.
Okay.
As I stated before I say what I say, I want to state this. I stated earlier that the board is appointed by the mayor, the Housing Authority Board. The Housing Authority Board can fire people like Mr. Fontenot and those type of people. Okay, so, but the mayor has the ability to switch and change people out on that board. Okay, so when he made that statement that it was going to be a change, why now? Why when a mother of 4 died, you got to change it? What about when the little white boy caught that stray bullet? What about when the double homicide happened out there? What about when the children almost got ran over? What about when the man almost snatched the kids last week? What about the murder when the boy got killed coming out his back door? What about the shooting on Father's Day? And it's many, many more murders. The woman who talked yesterday, what about her son? What about why didn't you make the change then? Because it was within your power to do. You've been in there almost 4 years. This is what's in your power to do. And you haven't did it. So why make the change now when the mother of 4 get killed? When you could have prevented this, she wouldn't be dead.
Shicola, what needs to happen immediately? Given we're not going,
immediately
we're in the now right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, coming from your opinion, what can we expect that leadership do right now to bring some relief, some sense of safety to the residents there in Royal Ridge?
First, they need to make an arrest. And while they're working on making an arrest, catching the person who have did it, they need to make an arrest. Okay, that's the first thing that they need to do. They need to make an arrest, and they need to set Philip Terra and them need to make an example out of these people. This was hate. They need to be charged with a hate crime. If a hate crime is life, then they need to pay with their life. I ain't even one of them people who advocate for it, but in this case, it was just senseless. That's the first thing. Second thing they need to do, Fontenot, whoever in charge, they need to be charged with negligent homicide. Let me tell you why I feel like they need to be charged with when you make an example out of the right people, you ain't got to worry about the next person in the seat doing the wrong thing or ignoring somebody asking them to move because their life is in danger. See, that's negligent. That's wrongful death. You just killed somebody's child. That's why I say you didn't have to pull a trigger to be a part of it. You was a part of it. So they need to make an arrest and they need to make an example out of them. They need to either hit them with some charges or get in their pockets. Make them pay for what's going on. Second of all, if they can file charges against Standard Enterprises and Knights Development, Philip Terra needs to be looking into that. And what angers me about these people, because if we were in New York City or somewhere else, this would have been done already with all of this. They district attorney office and all of those offices would have went after these people already. They would have did this. Remember, they did it in Shreveport. They went after that apartment complex. Okay, they did it once before right here in Louisiana. It happens. But because this is Alexandria and we have the good old boy clique that stick together, this is not happening. It's not happening. So they need to show the people that they care. We elect you to care. Make an example out of them. Make an example. So when we elect somebody else, they know that if you do negligent homicide, then you're going to get time for it. If you ignore someone asking you to move because their life is in danger and they ask you more than once and they get killed, you're going to go to jail for it. We're going to deal with you. These are corporate criminals. And you know why they get away with it? Because they're corporate criminals. They're not street criminals. They ain't got on a ski mask and a poo shiesty, so they getting away with it. You know, that's just what this is. They ain't no better than none of us. Okay. And the second thing they need to do is put up a gate and more cameras. Make it mandatory. If you're not on the lease, on those people list, you must be out of those projects at a certain time. The first thing that they need to put up a gate. They need to have security there and some cameras. At a certain time, security needs to go ask those guests to leave the premises because they're not on a lease. Period. That's just the way it needs to be.
And then on the people side, what we talking about with leadership, but what do we as a people need to do?
People just start telling. Listen, we ain't in 1999 where that street code applied to us. That don't apply to us. We don't have the same, it's not the same loyalty that's in the streets. And this coming from the street side of me. So I might say something that you don't understand, Jack, but they understand that we don't have that same loyalty. We don't owe nobody that out there because we're paying with our children trying to keep that type of loyalty. And if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't do it for us. So we're going to keep burying our babies till we realize that our homeboys ain't our homeboys. Because if our homeboys was our homeboys, they wouldn't go spray apartment complex in broad daylight. Back in the day, we didn't shoot the mamas and the children. We went and got the person that we was looking for. We hit the target. And I want y'all to understand that. This is coming from somebody. We went and got the person that we were supposed to get. You're getting people who you ain't supposed to get. That's a problem. So the street code ain't the same. So you got to tell, you got to stand up. You got to quit being silent. Man, you mothers got to do something about your 17 and 18-year-old children and 19, 20-year-old children walking out the house with a gun, knowing that your child is not old enough or not supposed to have a gun in the first place. You are the problem because you see it. You see this gangster in the making. You see this YN in the making, and you allow it. You allow your son to walk out the house with a gun. So you just as guilty as your son. You know your son ain't old enough to have a gun. And if you can't do anything with him, that's why they have a system in place to do something with him. No, everybody don't belong in jail, but yes, some do. Let's just keep it a buck. That's why it's there. But this is ignorance. This is ignorance. And you know, the low poverty community has a record of being ignorant because we don't know when to stand up for each other and we don't know when to tell our homies or our homeboys enough is enough. Chill. Quit.
All right. We often hear Shicola calls for, change. But what specific things can we? I know you just. Is it any other things that you think that we could change right now?
Right now, we got to come together. That's the first step to change, is that Alexandria is so divided. We got to learn when to love each other. Even if we don't like each other, we got to know that we got to stand next to each other and come together. We got to fight for a purpose. And you see, until we learn to come together, they're going to keep getting us with things like this. There's a protest Thursday in a candlelight right out there in front of the Housing Authority building for everybody that has died or got killed or something violent has happened to in that area.
So it's not just this scenario. This is going to be all inclusive of everyone.
Yeah, it's for everybody who has died, got killed up in that area. And the community needs to show up and protest. The community needs to be there to tell them that enough is enough. Let them see your face. It's when they don't see you that they think that they can keep doing it. But when you in their face, I'm telling you, because I know I go get in a lot of people's face. When you're in their face, they're not going to keep doing it. Let them know that you're not afraid. You know, Home Alone said that one day he walked out the closet and what did he say? I'm not afraid anymore.
Right.
That's the type of attitude we need to have in Alexandria. We need to let them know that we're not afraid anymore, that we need to stand up for us. So if you have lost somebody out there, or you know somebody that has got killed out there, or somebody that has got hurt, or you missing a loved one, or something has happened to your loved one out there, or in any other housing project that you have had someone die, this is your time to get revenge. The best revenge comes when we come together. That's it. I mean, it's no more to say. It's either we stick together and we prosper, or we stay divided and conquer and we fall.
And we keep falling. But Shicola, how do we shift from, like right now, we are reacting to what happened on Sunday. How do we shift from this reaction mode and get into a more prevention mode?
You know what, Mr. Jack? And I've thought about this. You know, my eyes water now when I'm finna say this. We ain't gonna never be the same after Sunday. And those projects ain't gonna never be the same after Sunday. Because the death was normalized Sunday. Right in front of us. It was normalized for the kids and for everybody at broad daylight. That's gonna always be an unforgettable situation, that a young mother went and asked for help, and the first day she returned back home, she was gunned down after she had already asked to be moved. But that's a story for her and her family. And for that part of that story, they got to fight for that. For the rest of their life, they got to fight so that this don't happen to another mother or another father out there. That's their story to tell. And they're going to have to fight for it. They're going to have to fight and let the world hear that story. But we, the people, it'll never be the same. Nothing about death is normal. Not even a healing process is normal. Because every day you walk in your house and you see a picture of a loved one that is gone, sometimes you cry, even if you ain't lost them to violence. You cry. You think about a good time or something or a moment you might have shared with them. And sometimes you might laugh, but sometimes you cry because you truly miss that person. And that's what we're talking about, being generation of victims. Now we have kids and a family that is a generation of victim, because they're going to often think about that person and they're going to cry. They're going to cry. They're going to cry. And only time can get them through this.
What role does public participation in the process of, heading to go vote? We got a vote coming up on May the 3rd. Community organizing, speaking out, play in to turn in this moment into a movement. What would you say right now, Shicola, to get the folk your age, in your circle, to help them get involved and say it's time for us to start, finding out what needs to be voted on and then pulling the lever the right way, finding out what's going on with something that's going on over in the police jury and the school board and the city council. What would you say to try to help get them involved? If you had a magical one right now and say, abracadabra, y'all gonna go vote, y'all gonna go participate in the upcoming city council meeting on Tuesday at unprecedented rates, what would you do to get them to go do that?
I would tell them that there's change in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't see numbers, you don't see change.
Right.
That it's the God honest truth. That's the only way. If I would be lying if I didn't tell you the truth.
So many people, Shicola, I don't mean to cut you off, but so many people believe my vote don't count. My number don't count.
And then that is why we're stuck in the situation that we're in now. because you believe that your vote didn't count. So when you're burying your loved ones and things don't change and the system is not changing, but you're complaining about the system not changing, remember that you thought that your vote didn't count. There are change in numbers. There are powers in numbers. The only way to get results is in numbers. A lot of things lie, but numbers don't lie. So we have to be able to get ourselves out there and go vote. Be a positive game. Be a go vote game. It's a different type of game you can be. But when you do nothing, you don't go vote, you're just as worse as the people. There's something, so that, and that's when I talk about too, product of your environment. That's been instilled in those low poverty communities not to go vote. Those are the main communities that don't go vote, but they want all the change. You want all, that's just like you don't pray and you want all the blessings. Right? You don't get on your knees one time and pray, but you expect God to give you all the blessings and you ain't never grateful. It's crazy that people think that way. That's the same community and they won't go but vote. You want all the change. You want all the glory. You want better paying jobs. You want your kids to be safe. You want better education for your kids. You want to feel safe in your community. You want all this positive change, parks, recreation, jobs, better policemen, better fire department, better paramedics. Speaking of paramedics, I can count the people from our community that was in there. The change probably would have happened faster. The police jury did a good thing, but I can count the people that was in there and they knew that their loved ones had died because paramedics never showed up. But no one show up. They don't hear you because you ain't willing to go and speak. You know what the old people say, Jack? They say a closed mouth don't get fed.
Well,
isn't that what they say? Same thing with God. You ain't praying. He don't hear you.
Right. Shicola, before we prepare to get out of here this evening, did you have anything else that you'd like to say before we get out?
I want our community to start holding people responsible. Nothing about death is cool. Nothing about burying your loved ones is cool. And if you can't control the problem of your kids walking out with these, going to somebody and ask for help. I need for our community to know that when people hurt, we supposed to hurt together, because I was hurt Sunday. I looked at those kids and I was hurt. And I knew that their life would be changed forever. Forever. Do you understand me? And I heard it because I have a heart. And only people who don't have a heart normalize this type of behavior. And that's the truth. We got to stand up for each other. We have got to do better by each other. It's fun to crack jokes and to laugh. But when the joke is on us, it's not funny. No. It's not funny at all. And right now the joke is on the community, because the community needs to speak up and do better. And the first thing of doing better is taking a stand, showing up out there to that protest, going out there and letting the people know, letting your voice be heard, showing respect for all those people that got killed, hurt, or something has happened to out there in those projects or in other projects, coming together for a chance. Because the next time it might be a child and we might not be so lucky.
To those watching, your voice matters. Your presence matters. People like Shicola remind us that change doesn't start with titles. It starts with effort. It starts with care. And most of all, it starts with the community and you being number one. Let's stop tearing each other down and start building each other up. The truth is, no single person can fix Alexandria, but together, united across, race, class, gender, we can transform it to a place, where every child, every family, every elder feels safe and valued and heard. We want to thank our followers that are out there listening this evening. We want to definitely thank Sadler's Towing, Long's Products, and Legendary Kung Fu and Tai Chi for their support. Without you, we couldn't bring this type of programming to the community. And to everyone watching, we would really encourage you to hit that like button, comment, share. I couldn't even keep up with the comments today, Shicola. So, if you had a question out there, you might need to go look at them. They were going across this a little too fast for me. But we greatly appreciate that. But most importantly, we have a city council meeting coming up on next Tuesday, starts at 5. And then on May the 3rd, there's an election. There's some tax renewals for the Rapides Parish School Board, one new tax over in the city of Pineville for the schools there. That's where your power lives, getting involved civically if we want to see change. Let's make Alexandria better together. Y'all have a great evening.
A legacy of winning isn't just about winning the game.
It's getting the win with integrity.
It's caring for the person standing next to you. It's about embracing a winning mindset in every aspect of your life.
When you're injured, hire a team with a winning mindset. In a jam, call Sam.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.